depending where you are in the world. I see lots and lots of folks actually from all around the world. So, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Today is going to be the first of a series of talks. My talk today is just an introduction to what all of the other wonderful folks will be talking on over the next 2 weeks. It's going to be our engineers and the engineers. Yeah, JC. Yeah, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. Um, our engineers are going to be talking about all of the new features that are coming in the upcoming update that's coming to ColdFusion 2025. You notice I'm not saying ColdFusion 2026 because it's not a full point up. It's not a full version update. This is literally you click an update button, it updates your stuff. You add a couple of modules to your package manager, and you are off and running. We did that on purpose a little bit here. Like we're not ripping out Tomcat. We're not doing any of those types of things to make it easier for you all to try this stuff out. Because spoiler alert, it's awesome. You're gonna love it. So without any further ado, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mark Takata. I'm the senior Adobe ColdFusion evangelist, and I've been doing this for about 5 years. My background is in programming. I've been a dev for over 30 years. I know 14 languages. Good times, all sorts of fun. But enough about that. Let's talk about what's coming. So, whoopsie. All right. So first up is going to be an AI models deep dive. That's going to be tomorrow, and it starts at 10 a.m. Pacific. Okay, that should say PDT because we're in daylight, whatever nonsense time. And it's going to be done by Suchika Singh. So around the world, in India time, this is, I believe, 10:30 p.m. IST. It will be recorded. I'm going to say this for every single one of these, just because there's going to be folks joining in. I'm sure someone will still ask, will this be recorded? This will absolutely be recorded. It will be up on our site. You'll be able to view this later. All of these, including this talk right now, it's being recorded. Hopefully we can get this up today so that people can go and look it up and all of that good stuff. All right. So AI models deep dive. What is Suchika going to be talking about? Well, we are adding, surprise, native AI support into Adobe ColdFusion. But we're not just doing it the way that everybody else does, because why would we do that, right? We're going to ColdFusionize it. We are going to add in a framework that allows you to basically have one set of code that allows you to hit multiple different providers. Okay, and we're also supporting, by the way, providers from OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, Gemini, Olama, and if you want to ask what the particular models inside of it are, you can ask Suchika. She'll go into detail on that. To be totally honest, it may change between now and launch. The AI world is changing rapidly, constantly updating. New models are coming out. Everything's constantly going. So we're going to try and keep up. And that's actually the point of why we made this the way that we made it. Because you may have, let's say, you may be connected to an OpenAI model and you're using that. You've written all of this code, and then they change their pricing model or something goes haywire, and who knows, maybe their some of their safety and security stuff is not up to the standards of your company. What do? Do you refactor all of your code to work with a different provider? No, not in our system. You just change the configuration, get new auth, point it at the new one. It just works. So pretty damn neat, if I do say so myself, which I did. So she'll go into a lot more detail than I'm going to go into here, but I just wanted to give you just a little brief idea on how all of this is going to work. So we've got a few different layers to how all this works. And by the way, all of the AI stuff works together. So you'll hear me referencing other pieces, right? All of this is a unified whole, actually, at the end of the day, right? But in here, and so for example, so chat model, it's a stateless entry point for directing prompts. So this is if you're just asking text, really quick, really simple, really basic. It's stateless. Out of the box, there's no memory. You can add it if you want to. You can get more complicated. Agent adds persona. It adds memory. You actually pass it a struct instead of just plain text. Okay, so we're giving you both options, whether you want to go more complicated, less complicated, however you want to do it. um, you can do it using this. And it also allows you to do some like quick rag stuff if you want it. There's also more complex stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit in the rag. One second, hold on. I've got people pinging me. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I had to turn off my notifications for Slack because people are pinging me. Okay, um, right. What else? Well, a lot more actually, right? So Suchika will also talk about all of the different memory options. So this is really important, right? If you're talking to a chatbot, you kind of want it to know like what you talked about already. That's you know, um, that's kind of the table stakes. Oh, and by the way, sorry, I didn't mention this earlier. If you have questions and Q&A, please put that into the Q&A pod so I don't lose it in the chat. And also keep an eye out in the chat. I've got Sharvi here. Sharvi is the principal product manager for ColdFusion, and she kind of wants to know what types of things you are going to do with AI, right? So if you've got use cases, things that you want to build, ideas, drop them in there. You can either drop them directly into the chat. You can put them into the Q&A if you don't want to share them. Those will stay hidden. You can always email them to me or Sharvi later as well. All right, so back to this. Something that I guess I've been asked this a couple times, like why wouldn't I just directly hit AI stuff with like CFHTTP or something like that? Well, there's a really good reason, and that is that because all of this is built into CF, this is core to the language. Like we're adding actual like in language access points to all of the stuff that we're adding. So the LLM stuff, the RAG, the MCP, all of that. All of that means that those functions allow you to directly access your CFCs, right? Your components, all of the stuff that's built into CF right now. It also looks like your CF. It uses functionality, built-in functions, all of that type of stuff that you are already using today and understand. Hopefully, if you've taken my foundation series on arrays, lists, queries, and all of that good stuff, I could need to add one for AI at some point. So that's a big deal, right? That turns this in from just like, basic like, oh, you're sending something out, you're getting something back, to an integrated application that all works together. And in addition, we're adding MCP functionality, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So that allows that chat model to work with the RAG, to work with an MCP, all in concert, all orchestrated, all working together to add powerful features to all of your applications. On top of all that, we're also adding things into the administrator as well as the admin UI. Sorry, the admin. We're adding stuff to the admin UI, but also the admin API, so you can do scripted things as well. So you could do configuration, validation, authentication, as well as governance on all of this stuff, either in an automated fashion or in a protected way from the administrator. The administrator continues to be a really, really powerful tool for teams that want to make sure to secure some of the more important pieces of their applications. Not every developer needs access to all of the keys, for example, right? You maybe don't want your juniors going around and firing off 10 million requests using the API key accidentally, and blowing through all of your tokens on Claude. So moving on, April 16th. So Model Context Protocol, our favorite three-letter AI word, is MCP. So Piyush is going to be working on that. It's 10 a.m. PDT. I don't know why it's PSD. It should be PDT. and then 10:30 p.m. IST. So convert that as you will to your local time and date. Um, what is Piyush going to be talking about specifically? Well, hopefully all of you know what MCP is. If not, I can give you a little bit of an idea. It's an interface layer between AI, an agent, whatever, a system, and your own app. So you're exposing portions of your app in an intelligent, secure, limited way. So it doesn't just have the whole run of your app necessarily to AI agents, but you're also allowing them to do things like tool discovery, right? You're controlling the way that all of that works through this layer, right? Um, and it's a really powerful way of doing it. It's changed the way a lot of people build their applications. And in CF, it really is a bridge from just having like an AI thing over here and maybe like using AI to read a website and hoping it figures it out to actually saying, here's the tooling, here's how to use it, here's how it works, right? Um, like, so I've got a question here real quick from someone. Someone's asking, pretend I don't know what this can do. What can I build with this? So, what can I build with MCP? Um, so I'll give you an example of what you can build with MCP, and it's something we built, so I know it works. And I'll be talking about this a little bit because it is actually a new feature that's coming out. We're actually exposing an MCP server for our new documentation, right? So if you're doing development and you want your IDE, which is these days, generally speaking, AI enabled, to have direct access through a controlled interface to the documentation for the language that you are putting out. You can use MCP for that, and we do. So in our new documentation, there's literally a button that you can click that goes out and grabs your cursor instance, adds in the MCP server, you put in your authentication information, and boom, you're connected and it's working. Versus the way that you used to do that is you hope that the training model that was inside of whatever system you were using, Anthropic or whatever, you really, really hoped that it worked and it had been trained properly and it knew what you were talking about and was modern and all of that, right? So that's really the difference. In addition to that, let's say you want to expose a part of, okay, let me think, a healthcare app, and you want there to be, okay, here we go. Looking for better help desk ticket handling, especially for login assistance. Yes, excellent. That's an excellent use case. So if you've got a ticket handling system in place right now that needs to be more intelligently traversed or searched or handled, right? If you need to assign those tickets in a more intelligent way, you can have agents that are smart and know things like capabilities, who's on, whatever that is. And you can put an MCP interface where it can go and it knows how to look up a ticket, find what that ticket does, assign that ticket. That's a tool. And all of that works in again in a way where you're not just kind of giving it the keys to the vehicle and letting it drive wherever the heck it wants. You can gatekeep it down the route that you want without making it a deterministic system where you're going down like trees and there's no intelligence behind it, right? So that's even a better use case than docs. The docs use case is pretty simple, although awesome. All right, so diving in now, MCP works two ways, right? You can consume, you can be an agent that goes out and connects to an MCP server, right? So the world is full of them right now, and we support that. So you can use ColdFusion as a client, and it connects over either HTTP or streaming HTTP. That's now a thing that we're adding as well, or over Studio. So you have both options. The other side of that coin is being a server, exposing your own tooling, your own application, your own sites, whatever it is that you've got, exposing that out through an MCP server layer to the wider world so that other agents can come in and leverage that. And we offer that as well. So there's tooling prompts, resource listing, all of that types of things. So that means your teams can do both. And that was really important for us to be able to do that. Mm. I love that JC jumped in. Yes, JC. I sort of jumped the gun on that on that, but yes, we are now supporting streaming over. That's a new language addition that we're adding, and it's awesome. Yes, you are very welcome, my friend. So just some of the things that is allowed in here, and again, Piyush is going to go into depth on this. Tons of code samples. It's 90 minutes, so your brain is going to leak out your ear because it's going to get really technical, and I love it. But just an overview of some of the things like listing and calling tools, listing and reading potential resources that are available, which prompts are there, and actually getting them. Things like routes, logging, these are all MCP terms that you should be familiar with. And he's going to dive into like how you integrate it, the patterns, like how you govern it, and actually like show you a design. He's going to show you an MCP server running. He's going to show you connecting to one. It'll be a great talk. So be ready for that one. Next up, April 17th. So Pujitha and Prashant are going to be talking about vector stores in RAG. RAG, of course, standing for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Again, 10 a.m. PDT. Ah, see, I changed it here. PDT. Very nice. Oh, thank you, Nimit. Yes. Oh, and by the way, folks, I've got a bunch of team members here from from the ColdFusion engineering team who are coming in to support me on my talk today. So feel free to ask even technical questions. We've got Nimit. Who else do we have here? It's a really long list, but yeah, we've got tons and tons of people on the engineering team. We've got our product manager. We've got me. Like we're here to support you. So vector stores in RAG. This is going to be complicated. Again, it's going to be recorded for those that didn't hear that on the other one. So it will be on our YouTube channel. So what is all of this? Before I go into detail on some of this stuff, I need to sort of cover what these two things are. Because they're concepts that are not readily familiar, I think, to a lot of ColdFusion developers. They've not been doing AI stuff. A vector store, you're kind of like, what is that, right? And a lot of people say they're like their databases, and they're sort of right. They're like vector DBs. But what's a vector? Okay, vectors describe the relationship between data points inside of an LLM, essentially, right? Hopefully I said that correctly. They're multidimensional though. So whereas a normal database, you know, like rows and columns and whatever, vector stores work differently. They describe these relationships and their strengths. They're essentially statistical. And what that allows you to do is to do AI, to do generative AI. Generative AI is based on vectors. And that's where they're stored. Now, usually when you go to OpenAI or whatever, you don't really deal with that because all that stuff is behind the scenes. But we're talking about building your own. And why might you want to build your own? Well, for RAG. So what is retrieval augmented generation? Well, let me give an example. Let's say you are, you've got, I don't want to do healthcare because that opens up all sorts of HIPAA. Let's say you build camper vans. That's a good one. I love camper vans. I want to build a camper van for myself. So let's say you build camper vans and you've got a chat bot that you want to exposed on your website so that people can come in and ask questions about your particular. It's called Takata camper vans. That has a nice sound. It's a nice ring to it. Well, your vans are really specific, right? Like you've got certain features, you use a certain suspension, use a certain battery, right? Like there's options that are very specific to your vans. If you just went and plugged in OpenAI into that, no matter what the model, it's not going to know. It'll give them, I mean, at best, generic, like what does a camper van often have, right? It's not really going to be able to provide them with detailed, accurate information about your particular product unless you feed into a RAG detailed documentation about your vans. What are all the options that are available? What are all of the battery types, the different suspension options? Which van models do you have? How much do they cost? Maybe you want to let people know that, right? What's the solar that's available? All of that. You feed that into this. Now, instead of hoping and probably hopelessly hoping because that information really literally doesn't exist anywhere that they're going to get the right answer, they will get the right answer. I mean, this works for everything. Now, I didn't talk about healthcare because you have to be super careful about putting information like health data and stuff and answering health data. You have to be really careful about this because remember, this is automated, right? It's going to give an answer. It's almost certainly going to be right, but there's some industries where almost certainly is not enough, right? So be very careful with this. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, but I have had feedback from some folks um, in insurance, for example, right? In insurance, there's very, very strict laws about what you can tell someone about a particular account or a particular incident or whatever it is, right? Um, until and unless you can prove that that answer is going to be at least as good as a human answer, which honestly we're getting pretty close to, folks are really scared of doing that. Now, that's not to say that people aren't using that already in some cases. Some folks have really good lawyers and lots of money, so they don't care. Uh, but it is important to know. Anyway, that's neither here or there. So, what are we bringing to the table in terms of vector stores and RAG? Well, we are adding this type of semantic retrieval core to the product. This is not something that you are going to go and connect somewhere else and they don't talk to each other except via like a weird pipeline or something. No, this is like directly in the product. Um, and one of my favorite features here, and I'm glad the engineers are here because they've heard me say this before, but I want to like knock this in. One of my favorite features is not only do we support things like Pinecone, Chroma, Quadrant, and Milvus. So these are a variety of different vector stores that are available either in the cloud or for local install or all that. Not only do we do that, we actually have an in-memory vector store that you can use while doing development work. I adore this feature. Like you don't set a default. You just say, "Hey, I want a vector store. I'm going to throw it into memory and throw some stuff into it and test it right here, right now. No authing, none of that nonsense. I'm just going to use it, do a POS on it. Hey, it works. Cool. Now I can just replace that and put stuff up into a different vector store that's going to be stateful and is secured and it's up in the cloud and you could like scale it or do whatever. But instead of having to do that in the first place to actually build stuff out, you can do stuff in memory. So I love that. Thank you so much, guys. um, and really, this is the backbone for intelligent Q&A, for semantic search, recommendations, and as I mentioned, for RAG. Okay, so what is going to be running all this? Well, as I mentioned before, you heard me talk about agent before. So agent is basically an added new function that we're putting into the system. And since all of these things talk to each other, agent is one of the ways that you instantiate RAG. And it works both ways, for ingestion and for retrieval. And there's tons and tons of stuff. Once you all get your hands on the documentation, you'll see. I mean, there's hundreds of pages of different options. And by the way, the beta is open right now. In case anyone didn't know, the beta is currently open. Could someone from the team, maybe Sharvi, could you put a link into chat for the beta? Because it's an open beta. Anybody can join if you want to go, even just to grab the docs and read them to see what's going to be available, or to even try things out. It is there. All right. So query routing, transformation, aggregation, injection memory, all that type of stuff. Really, really, it's kind of complex. Awesome. Thank you, Srishti. Appreciate you. So that's the link there in chat in bright orange, at least for me. I think everyone sees the same colors in chat that I do. Srishti just dropped that in there. So go ahead and join that. It's free, obviously. Um, and this is probably not fair. I think platform moving from simple demos. I don't know why I wrote that. You've been able to do a little bit of this already through external sources, but it's not been integrated. It's not been whole. It's not been a complete package before. We're moving now towards production grade enterprise strength flows with very clear moving parts that you can see, that you can log, that you can do all of that with. And one of the parts, of course, that has been traditionally a little bit of, I don't know, complicated, a bear, difficult, is pulling stuff in, ingestion. And we built a specific workflow for that called document service. And it allows you to load things in a variety of different ways, right? We're giving you a lot of flexibility here. In addition, the formats that are available are more than just like plain text, .txt stuff. Like you can import a bunch of other things. They'll talk about that during the talk. You can ask questions about whether your particular document formats are there. Maybe we can even add them if we don't have them. And the big news here is you can do a lot of this from the administrator. So this is a neat feature. So you can actually create kind of a no-code path setting up a knowledge base. This is unique, right? Because again, the administrator is a secured place. It's a place away from the code itself, right? And it allows you a little bit more flexibility as someone who is setting things up without maybe needing to know how to code or even wanting to code, right? You could just say, hey, ingest from this particular place, create this, plug it in, boom, and it's working. All right, April 21st. I know there's a lot of these, right? This is a big update. This is as big or bigger than any full point release I think we've done. So Sandeep and Datu are going to be talking about PMT and VS Code extension. Okay, this is April 21st, 10 a.m. PDT. It will be recorded. This is 10:30 p.m. IST. So what are they going to be talking about in PMT and VS Code extension? So for those not familiar, hopefully you all know what PMT is. PMT is the performance monitoring tool set. It's an observability platform that ships for free with ColdFusion. Has for many, many years. It's pretty awesome. We've continued to improve it every single update, every single new version. It's gotten new capabilities. It's maybe not quite Fusion Reactor. Fusion Reactor is amazing. We love our partner that builds Fusion Reactor. If that's what you're looking for, you can pay them to use it. If you're looking for something, well, free, and that is also incredibly capable, you've already got it. PMT comes with your ColdFusion, whether it's standard or enterprise. In addition to PMT, we've got the VS Code Builder extension. So many of you have been coding for a long time, are familiar with ColdFusion Builder. That was an IDE that we had sold for a long time. It was built on top of Eclipse. For many years now, we have that went away. We don't support that anymore. Instead, we offer a free VS Code extension called ColdFusion Builder that has the same feature sets, allows you to do things like RDS, uh, variable tracking, debugging, all of that, breakpoints, all that cool stuff. It's a very, very cool product, right? But when it shipped, I'll be honest here. I will cop to this. When it shipped, it was not maybe the product that we were hoping that it was going to be. There were issues with it. There were problems with it when it shipped. I will say, after all the updates that we've done, all the work, the hard work that the team has done, it's a really good, solid product. If you used it at the beginning and didn't like it, give it another try. We've been working very, very hard on it, and we're continuing to work on it. We're continuing to improve on it. So, what did we add? Well, a lot of it is just simplification of utilization. We're trying to remove friction on setting up your stuff, making it a little easier to use, allowing it to be used in multiple different environments and use cases. One big one that's near and dear to my heart, because this always kind of annoyed me, is all the workspace mechanics. They all kind of go into the background. Like, workspaces came from Builder when when we had that in Eclipse. And Eclipse is obviously a different IDE. It works differently. It's set up differently. So it always felt very unusual to me to have like the VS Code workspace and also the projects and things like that, like at the same time. So we've now simplified that. They're still there. They're underneath the hood. I'll talk about that a little bit. But it feels more VS Code native. PMT, this is really the only that I'm going to talk about PMT, and it does a lot of heavy lifting. So PMT is adding AI service monitoring. So the AI tooling that you're going to be using in this update is going to be observable via the PMT. So they're going to talk about that during this talk. I won't go into any more detail than that because it's a lot. But and on top of that, documentation. So Sharvi is going to be jumping in on this as well. Sorry, I didn't list you there, Sharvi, on the talk. She's going to be talking about. Remember earlier I said we've got this new docs thing going on? Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the VS Code editions. So we are obviously adding not only AI native features, but we're continuing to improve things like code assist. So, like primitive member functions, literal values, chained expressions, they were not well handled before. We fixed those. Multi-line literals, things are we're adding reliability and making sure that things actually work a little bit better than they once did. And for all of you that work in Docker, you're welcome. Sorry it took so long. Now it's a first-class server target for things like RDS, debugging, running things, all of that. It's now available. Apologies for it taking as long as it did. It was a little bit complicated to fix, but we solved the issue. As well as folks that work in Linux. So if you are a Linux developer, I know you're out there because you've been asking us for this. It's now officially supported as a platform for using VS Code on, doing remote SSH, WSL2, all of that. All those scenarios are now supported. And we did a big old bug fix pass. So there were still bugs in there, in formatting, localization, SQL parsing, things like that. We've gone and fixed that. So this is a big, 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 big update to VS Code. I think if you used it originally and didn't like it, give it another chance. If you've been using it lately and like it, you're going to like it even more. And docs. I'm so excited about this. I love documentation. I mean, I was an English major in college. What can I say? I can't help myself. I love docs. And frankly, our old docs were not great. We were stuck in the HelpX ecosystem, the old HelpX ecosystem. We were one of the last groups in Adobe that were still using it. It had issues. It had a lot of issues. And I want to thank folks like Charlie Earhart for continuing to just pound on the door of, you guys need to improve your docs. That's what we did. And this is coming. I've seen them. They're amazing. They look so good. The capabilities are significantly improved. We've got much deeper topic lists, so we're not losing the edge cases inside of the docs anymore. And we're actually using a product that Adobe makes to run this stuff. So AEM Guides is a product that a group that's adjacent to us builds. Our own leader, Vivek, is also in charge of those guys. And so it was a perfect pairing. Um, Everything, first of all, it looks amazing. I know that shouldn't matter, but it does to me. I want it to look good. When I'm looking through docs, it needs to look nice, right? So that's important. Um, it's just easier to use. It's easier to search and navigate all of those things. And as I mentioned before, right in the product, right in there, we've got out of the box MCP support. You do need to have an account. Yeah, you do have to have a free Adobe account, which, to be honest, probably most of you already have. To use it, that's what you will use for your authentication. But other than that, it's a seamless, frictionless experience. You can connect it to the IDE of your choice, or there's actually a direct button for cursor right now. I'm not sure if we're going to add more different things, but all right. So Mega and Rochelle are going to talk about security on April 22nd at 10 a.m. PDT. Again, this will be recorded and put in our YouTube channel. It's 10:30 p.m. IST. Here's some exciting stuff. So I'm not sure that we've really even talked publicly about this. If you're in our beta, you know it's coming, obviously. But otherwise, you may not know that we're adding native passkeys to allow passwordless sign-in to your CF apps. Feel free to applaud. I'm excited about this. I love passkeys. They make my life easier. Um, it's just a better way, I feel, to log into sites. And if all of you follow, I believe James Moberg recently built out a passkey tooling that allows you to use them in ColdFusion in older versions. This is built in, though. This is right inside of your admin, and so it's just a frictionless interface for doing all of that. So we're bringing Web Auth N and FIDO2. And then we're adding a new unified password hashing API. So it defaults to Argon 2. It still supports bcrypt and scrypt, though. So if that's what you're using, you can still go back to that. We went with the strongest thing that we could here. How many of you use Security Analyzer? And if you don't, is it because it was too slow? Is it because the rules didn't cover enough? Well, I got good news for you. We've expanded rule coverage and accuracy, and we've vastly improved scaling on big code bases, which, any code base worth its weight is probably non-trivial and large. And big news here, it now calls out unscoped variable risks. Yes. So if you're not aware, first of all, really? But second of all, if you're not aware, a while back, we did an update where we removed um, essentially inferred variable scoping. So like traversal. So you could put in a variable name and it would check form, it would check URL, um, it would check all of the different scopes in a particular row. Unfortunately, some very, very bad people who I'd like to talk to for just 5 minutes in a locked room if I could get to them, they discovered some bad security flaws in that particular system that we were unable to solve. So we had to add, or I should say, remove that feature from ColdFusion, which made your lives a lot harder than I wanted to make them, because now a lot of the places that you were using unscoped variables no longer work. I will say, scoping your variables is the better way to code. It makes them, recognizable, human readable. You understand exactly where they're coming from. It's also a performance increase as well. So it's It's good to scope your variables. However, as many people told me, shaking pitchforks and torches, you may have 30,000 lines of code that need to be updated, and you're not sure where those 30,000 are. Well, um, we now are adding this. For a long time, our good friend Pete at Foundio, he had a tool that allowed you to do that through his products. But if you weren't able for whatever reason to use that, you'll be able to use Security Analyzer. It, by the way, ships free with ColdFusion. It's part of the deal. Um, and we've got some AI guardrails that are being added into the AI stuff to do security. That's not the Security Analyzer. That's some of the new AI stuff. So we're keeping security top of mind here. Is kind of what I'm trying to say here. On top of that, I got to say, OEM upgrades, they are really the unsung heroes of these updates that we do. Cold Fusion is built on top of a lot of OEM libraries. It's what makes Cold Fusion as amazing as it is, but a lot of us don't really think about those until we have to, right? Until there's a security risk or a performance issue or whatever happens. So we've got a very large list of OEM upgrades that are going into this. So again, this is an update, but it's a big one and it's a very important one. And this fixes things like performance and security and other things, right? So very, very important. And as I mentioned, it's a security analyzer performance improvements. It means that you can do regular scanning now. You can make it part of your development process, your SDLC. And we want you to do that because security is important. All right. April 23rd is the last one, I promise. Ashu and Vikas are going to be talking about our favorite language and performance stuff on April 23rd at 10 a.m. PDT. This will be recorded and will be put on our YouTube channel. Hopefully, everyone got that. And this is 10:30 p.m. IST. All right, what are they going to talk about? Well, they're going to talk about quite a lot. Here's a couple of highlights. So Run Async now sits on the completable future. Say that 5 times fast. Semantics. This is just an improvement all around for Run Async. Just better coordination, timeout. The chaining's better. It's just a better way of doing things. And as I mentioned before, and people really seem to enjoy, so I'll say it again: CF HTTP gains streaming and SSE support, so you can do more real-time patterns. Yeah, it's awesome. We're adding quality of life improvements. By the way, this talk is going to like be way more than this. So if you're like, "Oh, none of this applies to me," like the list is, I mean, longer. Like my hand is way down here. Like it's a big list of improvements. These are just some of the things. Things like set, struct entries, queries empty, array find last, list find last. For all of you that went to my foundation series, if you haven't, they're up on YouTube. I talked about all of the built-in functions for lists, for arrays, for queries, all of that. So you all know there's already a ton of built-in functions. We're adding a few more to make your life a little bit easier. Adding callback closure, rounding metadata, and query helpers just to make stuff flow better, right? Because we all still code. AI is not doing all of our coding yet, right? Wink. Um, so there was a concurrency issue with ternary and Elvis literals, and we fixed that. It was an edge case, but it was a real thing. That's been fixed. Query of query, exception handling options, JVM compatibility flags. We've updated those, and just an absolute ton of bug fixes. Like a ridiculous number of bug fixes are going in for language stuff that we've been working on. So they'll talk about that. And our favorite subject, speed. We love speed. Zoom, zoom. So Vikas will be doing a specific sub-session inside of this. So he's going to have, I think, a 20-minute run basically on how much faster the new update is. And he's bringing receipts. So he's going to show you benchmarks of CF against other platforms, other engines, other things, to show you that, yeah, we bolted a turbo to it. So you'll love that. And that, my friends, is that. So there you go on the right. Those are all of the different sessions that are coming up starting tomorrow, April 15th, 16th, 17th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd are all of the talks that are coming up. Again, my name is Mark Takata. I'm the Senior Adobe ColdFusion Technical Evangelist. My email is takata@adobe.com. It's always open. Feel free to email me if you have other questions. If you want to ask, like where I get my cool glasses from, whatever you want to know, feel free to email me, or I guess you can ask me here, or if you're in Sacramento, just come to my house. Yeah. So Charlie says, biggest update ever. Yeah. Calling this an update is hilarious because it's huge. It's just, yeah. This is a meteor like hitting the earth. It is absolutely fantastic, huge. So for those of you that might have come in late and missed part of this and want to see me again live, in just a few hours, I'm actually going to be giving the exact same presentation at the Mid-Michigan ColdFusion Users Group. So feel free to stop by then again if you want to see which color glasses I put on for that one. Surprise, drama, excitement. But anyway, I've been Mark Takata. I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank the engineering team as well as Sharvi for coming in and hanging out with us and answering questions and talking to you all and helping out. I'm super excited about this. Make sure to go join the beta if you haven't. Get excited. And by the way, there might be another little sneak peek that I might do tonight at tonight's thing, just to get folks who are here to come and check that out. So go ahead and do a search for Mid-Michigan ColdFusion Users Group. You can sign up for that. It is also obviously online. And there you go. Yes. Oh, yes. And for those of you who are going to CF Camp, you get to see Sharvi. And for those of you going to Vegas, you get to see a whole bunch of us. And I hope you are. Yeah, I guess before I go, all of you are coming to CF Summit, right? I mean, there is a full day AI training workshop that you can go. Dave, you don't have a choice. I'm tying you up and throwing you in the back of my van. You're doing talks. You cannot escape. Not even death shall release you. Yeah. Don't get FOMO, folks. Like, there is, first of all, we're doing 2 incredible days with 3 different tracks, a huge panel of C-suite executives talking about AI and what the impacts are. Spoiler alert, AI is important to all of us here. We want to know what they think. So come on in for that. You can ask them questions and see what they have to say about all that. A great party. And also, by the way, the price for this thing is ridiculously inexpensive. Can I just say that? For I think it's still $299. I think we're still giving that deal. That is for basically 4 days of stuff. That is for the full day AI training, which is amazing and getting full. So sign up now if you're going to. I think one of the days is already maybe full. So get in there. The certification, if you're not certified, why not? Get certified. That tells the people that you're trying to get to hire you that you know what you're doing in ColdFusion. And it tells your boss today that you're ready maybe for a little upgrade in pay, right? And then, come on, you have to go to the actual summit. We've got super fun stuff, swag, tons of great talks. You get to see me in pink suits, for goodness sake. So don't miss it. Sign up. Awesome. All right. Well, that's it. I'm gonna pop out and pop back in real quick. I'm gonna end the recording. So give me just 1 second.